What's up, geeks? This is Fit Geek Trainer, where we talk about your fitness and all the things that you geek out about. Today, we're going to be reviewing Thor, the fourth movie in the Marvel series. Can't wait to talk about it. Stick around. What's up, geeks? I'm John Sargent. This is Fit Geek Training. Alright, we're continuing our series of reviewing all of the Marvel movies. We already did Iron Man, we already did The Incredible Hulk, we did Iron Man 2, and now we're doing Thor. I'm also releasing a workout that goes with each one of these movies, so if you haven't watched those, go ahead and check those out also. Alright, this movie is a ton of fun. Let's get into it, and let's start with the cast. Alright, this movie has a huge cast. There's a ton of people in this, so I'm not going to get to everybody, but I will talk about the main people. Obviously, first and foremost, Chris Hemsworth. Up until this movie, he hadn't done anything. He was in Star Trek, but it was a small part, and I think that might have gotten released after this movie. He had done Cabin in the Woods, also released after this movie, so this is the one that launched his career, and I think we're all glad that that happened. Natalie Portman is in it. She plays Jane Foster. She's the love interest that nobody cares about, and but she's great in the movie. She's funny, she's charming. It's just that it takes place over a day and a half, so nobody cares about their love. I also don't care about Padme's love with Anakin, so I'm starting to think that maybe she's the problem. Loki is played by Tom Hiddleston, another launch of a career, at least in the US. I didn't know who he was before this. I'm guessing you didn't either. Between Loki and briefly dating Taylor Swift, his career is doing just fine. You've got Dr. Eric Spellwig. He's played by Stellan Skarsgård. You probably remember him from Pirates of the Caribbean or Good Will Hunting. He usually plays scientists and doctors, and he does that well again in this one. Idris Elba plays Heimdall. He's the guardian of the Bifrost. He's great. Again, you can't really see his face in a lot of things that he's in. You can't see his face. He does a lot of voice acting. He was in the third Star Trek, face completely covered. He just sort of has a running theme of not being able to see him in things. And then you've got Anthony Hopkins playing Odin. I love Anthony Hopkins. Obviously Silence of the Lambs, but he's been in a ton of stuff. Zorro's mentor. The list is endless, and you can put this on that endless list. Basically, back in the day, the Frost Giants tried to take over Earth. Odin and the Asgardians stopped them, stole their artifact that gives them ice powers. Then Thor is about to take the mantle of King of Asgard, but the Frost Giants, a bazillion years later, now they got a beef, so they come back to take their casket, and they ruin Thor's ceremony. And the Destroyer, which is a big robot that shoots lava out of its face, kills the Frost Giants, because it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, where lava beats ice every time. But they ruin the ceremony nonetheless. Thor's super pissed, and he's telling Odin, we gotta go to Jotunheim, and we gotta take care of this. And Odin's like, nah, it's cool. It's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. But Thor disobeys his father, and he grabs his homies, Sif and the Warriors 3 and Loki, and he runs to the Bifrost, and he tells Heimdall, hey, give me one of them cosmic bus passes. I gotta get to Jotunheim. So he takes them, and he essentially starts a war. Odin shows up, Daddy saves the day, he takes him out of there, he takes him back to Asgard, and he's wicked mad at Thor. He's like, I told you not to do it, you did it anyways, you're not fit to be king, and he strips him of his powers, and he says, I banish you to Earth. And he throws him in a hole that takes him to Earth, and then he takes his hammer, which wields his powers, and he tells the hammer, yo, nobody's picking you up unless they're worthy, and if they are worthy, they get badass lightning powers. And he throws that in the hole with him. Both the hammer and Thor land in New Mexico. Jane Foster and her buddies find Thor, and a bunch of yokels and Stan Lee and drunk hillbillies find the hammer, but then S.H.I.E.L.D. comes and takes it from them because they kind of have an idea of what it actually might be. And we get Agent Coulson. Again, love Agent Coulson no matter what. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. also comes and takes all of Jane's research. So she goes in and gets Thor from the hospital, and then he hears about the hammer, so he's going to go get it. So Jane drives him out to the desert where the hammer is. S.H.I.E.L.D. has set up a base camp around it, and he's going to break in there. He's going to beat up 50 dudes, and he's going to take his hammer. And Hawkeye is there. This is the first time we get to see Hawkeye, and he just sort of perches and watches it happen, but he never actually engages. So Thor beats up 15 guys, and then he gets to the hammer, and he can't lift it because he ain't worthy. He's still kind of a brash, hot-headed, arrogant. He's a bit of a D-bag, honestly. Meanwhile, on Asgard, Loki finds out that he was actually adopted. Odin had stolen him from the Frost Giants, and he was going to raise him and use him to bridge a gap and create peace. And Loki's not having that. He's not, happy to find out that he's adopted. And he starts yelling at Odin, and Odin has like an Asgardian heart attack where you just kind of lay in bed for a few days. While Odin is in the Odin sleep and Thor is banished to Earth, that means that Loki is king. And Sif and the Warriors 3 come to talk to Odin and say, hey, you got to bring Thor back. You got to reconsider, except for that he ain't there because he's sleeping. He's got like an Asgardian Craftmatic adjustable bed. So Loki is king, and he was like, nope, he's staying gone forever. Not a chance. So they run to Heimdall, and they're like, hey, give us one of them cosmic bus passes. They go to New Mexico. Loki knows that they're doing this, so he sends the Destroyer to kill all of them. The Destroyer shows up, and it's wrecking shop. It's just wreaking absolute havoc. It's blowing up buildings, and cars flying around, and people running scared for their lives. And the Sif and the Warriors 3, they're Asgardian, but they can't defeat it either. It's just too badass. So Thor decides, enough is enough, it's here for me. He tells everybody to get to safety, and he goes and says, listen, brother, I don't know what I did to piss you off, but just take my life, leave everybody else. And Loki's like, okay. And he's keeping his pimp hand strong, and he backhands Thor, and it didn't really look like it should kill him, but he's just a regular dude, so he's dying, and Jane's like, oh no, you're dying. And then because he gave up his life, and he did a selfless act, now he's worthy. So S.H.I.E.L.D's looking at the hammer 50 miles away, and it just flies into the air, and it goes straight to Thor, and boom, lightning powers, because now he's worthy. So he has a fight with the Destroyer, where he picks up the hammer, and he sticks it in the Destroyer's mouth and blows up his face. Then he's like, listen, Jane, I know I've only known you for about 30 hours, but I am madly in love with you, and I'll be back. So he kisses her, and he takes off to Asgard, and Loki has let the Frost Giants in and let them think that they were going to kill Odin while he was sleeping. But Loki's Loki, and nothing he says is true, so he kills them. And then Thor shows up while Loki is trying to destroy the Frost Giants' home of Jotunheim. And Thor's like, no, you can't just kill a whole race of people. So he starts smashing the Rainbow Bridge, which powers the Bifrost, which is destroying Jotunheim. Which means he can't get back to seeing Jane Foster. And he's super, distraught about that. The rest of us, not so much. I don't care. So he breaks the Rainbow Bridge, and he can't get back, and him and Loki are dangling, and Odin has woken up from his nap, and he's holding on to them, and Loki's like, you should be proud of me. And he was like, not really, you're kind of a psychopath. So Loki lets go, and he falls into the cosmic river abyss. I don't know how physics work in Asgard, but he falls, and he's dead. So that's pretty much the end of the movie. But then you got your post-credit scene, which everybody knows is the best part of a Marvel movie. So you got Eric Spelwig, and he's walking through like a warehouse, and he sees Nick Fury. And Fury, I almost said Nick Cage. I said that on the last one, but it's Nick Fury. So he sees Nick Fury, and Fury's like, check this out. And he opens up a briefcase, and it's got a glowing blue box in it. And Svelg's like, all right, what is that? And he goes, it's power, unlimited power. And he goes, do you want to like play with it? And you kind of see Loki off to the side who's mind controlling Eric. And he's like, yeah, you do want to play with that. And then, so now you know Loki's still alive, and you know that we're headed towards the Avengers, because at the end of the credits it says you'll see Thor in the Avengers. Alright, that's pretty much how the movie goes down, and here is my ranking. Every week I rank these Marvel movies from 1 to 17. Once Black Panther comes out, it'll be 1 to 18. This one, in my opinion, is number 13. I know what you're thinking, that probably doesn't sound really high, but it's a very good movie. I just have two gripes with it that knock it down a few pegs. One is that, like I said, it only takes place over about a 30-hour period, so I have a hard time buying that he loves Jane Foster, and that very important part of the story doesn't matter to me because it's basically spring break. We've all been there. It's not actually love. The other thing that I can't get over is how weird Thor looks. Chris Hemsworth has a bleached beard and bleached eyebrows, and it looks very different from how he looked after that in any of the other Avengers and Thor movies, and it's really distracting. I just can't get over it, and I mean, maybe that's petty, maybe I'm nitpicking, but for me, it's really hard to get past. The rundown. Each week I'm going to give you guys a bold thought, sort of a thesis statement about the movie that we're talking about. For Thor, this is my rundown. The original Thor has the best singular moment in any of the other Thor movies, any of the times that we've seen Thor. When he gives up his life and he's dying and then he gets ultimate power back, he gets Mjolnir back and he wrecks shop on the Destroyer. I love these moments in movies. It also happens in the first Blade when he's just about dead. He's down and out, and then in an instant, ultimate power. I love those types of moments in movies, and Thor is one of the best examples of them. Alright guys, that's the review. Let me know what you think. What do you think of this movie? Are you completely distracted by his weird beard? Do you care about the love interest? Let me know in the comments. Drop a like. Also, go check out the Instagram, @FitGeekTraining. If you're ready to get in better shape, you want a certified personal trainer to help you do so, that's what I do. Go to the website, fitgeektraining.com. Also, be sure you check out the other reviews that we've done and look for the Thor workout that got paired with this review. Alright guys, that's it for this week. Game over.